They know they should.
Yep.
Anybody with any kind of common sense, any kind of tactful knowledge about how to operate prisons knows full well that this is a recipe for disaster. That's what I said in my statement. Those words
You
exactly.
did. You did.
Anybody with a brain that with a IQ high enough to pass the test to get employed by the GDC
Uh,
should know that this is a recipe for disaster. We got to do something. But that ain't what they down with. I reckon they like seeing this. I don't even know what to
apparently
do.
so.
Asking them to do nothing ain't doing jack nothing.
No, they ain't. They
So
they
maybe I
ain't
don't
doing
know.
that.
Maybe I should be pleading to the inmates to lay the knives down.
I don't know, man.
Because pleading to
Um,
the state to do what they're supposed to do and secure the prison just ain't doing nothing. It's yielding no results, no matter who you are. I'm sorry, man.
nah, we good. You good. Uh, dang. Uh, bro, it's a lot. I'm looking at footage. I'm having people call me and text me and tell me that they knew the individuals that got stabbed up at Washington. I
Yeah.
saw I saw footage of what it looked like was individuals running to the visitation room, and then I saw that earlier you posted somebody who had told their story
Yeah, and
about.
they commented that on one of those news channels, that the Facebook news channels that shared the story. They came on and commented that, saying that this is what their experience. I haven't seen any footage from the visitation, but I think that that's something very important to highlight because just in that story, that just shows you just how dire the situation is out there. That even the civilians are at risk.
Yeah,
But they know the civilians are at risk. They've been known. Like I say, anybody that knows anything about prisons knows that everybody's at risk up in there when you got three or four females as the only security at that joker. Like I
that's
say,
crazy.
if you got groups of inmates that want to do whatever they want to do, they definitely gonna do it. One inmate can do whatever he wants to do out there.
Yeah,
It ain't about, and that's not saying that because like I say, during this situation, from what I understand, it was more of like that it was a fight going on between the inmates and they was trying to get the other inmates and stuff. And luckily they wasn't really trying, to get the visitors and stuff like that.
right. But if that had been the
You know.
situation, that would have been bad, bro. Because from my
Oh
understanding,
man.
they
If they
overpowered an
wanted to take the
officer.
visitors hostage, they could, children, elderly, and all. And that's just the truth. And there are, make no mistake, there are some people in prison that would do something like that.
Yeah,
Like yeah, there's good people in prison and there's a lot of people that do good, but there's also a subset that, man, they don't be doing too much good. You know,
yeah,
hopefully they'll change their ways, but you got to at least be prepared for that if you're
yeah,
going to, be in an environment where that's what's up anyway.
yeah, yeah. I
But this now, man, and from what I've seen, this has got no like national coverage or anything like that.
you
Or
said it
has it?
hasn't.
Have you? Not to my knowledge,
No,
not from
I
anything
keep
that I've
seeing the
seen in
local. I keep seeing the local
local.
news talk
Yes,
about it, but then they don't even go into detail. And then their information is old, even to
yes.
what we're receiving on Facebook. So
Hmm.
there's that. Um, you know what's weird, bro? Is now Friday I actually went into Macon State Prison.
Yeah, I seen where you posted that you went in there. That's
I
good.
went I went into Macon State Prison, man, and I'm gonna tell you, man, I got an opportunity to talk to the lifers.
Hmm.
I wasn't prepared. I like to run my mouth, man. I like to run my mouth and talk, and no crowd is a tough crowd. But
Hmm.
when I talked to those lifers, I saw guys that I was incarcerated with 20 years ago, and now they're old men. But there's a separation between the older guys and the younger guys, man. It's two different mindsets, two different populations, man. And it's just weird, bro. It's just weird. Um,
Yeah. And a lot of your lifers are not even the ones causing problems. Like I noticed that at Telfair, especially because they had a good lifers group and a good program for some of the lifers at Telfair where they would get together and they were a lot of them were very positive in their interactions with everybody on the prison compound, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was the case even back then that there you could see a clear divide between the mentality of the older population versus the younger,
yeah,
you know. I say these dudes are trying to kill somebody, man.
yeah. They
You know.
serious about it too, man. They just it's
Yeah.
not a game. It's not a game. So now, have you ever worked at Washington State Prison?
Yes, and I was that's where I was when I submitted the statement in protest of the GDC was at Washington.
Wow.
But I
Now,
was the institutional instructor there, so I didn't work on the inside that much. I was on the inside quite a bit. I was going around on inspection and things like that, and come visit the dorms. And I even responded to a couple codes over there that would get called. And I was just across the street, and I was in good shape. So if they had a big code, I would run over there, to the prison and run in.
okay.
Usually or every time it'll be already over by the time I get there, just because how far I was out. But I mean, I'm very familiar with the staff of Washington State Prison because I did all their training. I taught
Mm,
them in service and everything. And
mm.
at Washington, man, and Washington wasn't even one of the main prisons that I was worried about with something like this. You know what
You
I
know what?
mean?
I came
Because
home from Washington State Prison, and it was a cakewalk when I was there.
yes, Washington for the longest. Washington, when I came in, you hardly ever heard anything out of Washington. They didn't do all this stabbing and machete wielding and all that. And at Washington State Prison, that just wasn't one of them prisons that they did it.
Yeah.
Like Telfair and like Hayes and all this, that they were already doing that even before I started with the department. But at Washington State Prison, man, wasn't nothing like that,
Yeah.
going on. So, the point I was gonna make is that when I submitted that statement in 2024, I mean, there probably wasn't five able-bodied officers, male, at Washington State Prison employed there. Period. Almost all the supervisors were female. They were extremely short on females. I
Right.
mean, even on supervisors, like most of the supervisor position was open. They didn't
Okay.
have no CERT team. They didn't have no tax squad. Most of the shifts would consist of about six women. You might have one man.
Yeah.
That's an entire shift at a 1,500 man prison. So no wonder these dudes all got knives, man. Like it's just it's insanity to even
And
do
so
something
at
like that.
some
And
point in
even
time, you as a correctional officer, you saw, okay, this is about to be some BS right here, and you filed the paperwork.
yeah,
What were some of the things that you were most afraid of in reference? And I know I just want the people who listening to know what's going on.
yeah, the same thing like what's happening at Washington today, Sunday and things like that. Look, if you got stuff like that, then whatever happens is going to happen. There is no one there with the physical capability or the mental capability either to be involved in like something like that. Like when stuff really gets out of control like that and gets violent, you have to have somebody there to stop it, or else it's just going to do like that and get way out of control. Even if it's not something against staff. Obviously, me coming from a staff background, I worry about the staff in there. Yes, I worry about the staff getting taken hostage or getting something bad done to them, which many of them have already.
Right.
I've been assaulted many times and stuff like that. But I worry about them. I worry about these inmates like this fella that lost his life at Valdosta last week and was or the week of Christmas and was passed away in his cell for days in
For
there
days. For
in
days.
the most secure building of the prison. So that just shows you right there that everything has been totally control has been lost. If your lockdown unit, this is something that people that mentor me taught me and that was very good at running facilities. They told me that there's two places on a prison compound that really need to be secure. Like everything needs to be secure in these environments. Everything needs to go the way it's supposed to go, if at all possible. And that's the chow hall and the lockdown unit.
Okay.
Because these are like the chow hall, first of all, is gonna have everybody's gonna be coming in, you're gonna see everybody, you're gonna have different staff in there. Obviously, you got the feeding thing going on, you got a lot of people in small buildings.
Yep.
So you want to have a lot of security presence there, and you want to have a lot of security presence, obviously, in the lockdown unit, because that's where people don't go to lockdown for no reason. I mean, sometimes they get these people that that they may some of their family has done advocacy for them, and I've seen a lot of stuff. And I mean, I have seen stuff like that where somebody posts online, which you get to the thing where it's like they technically the cell phone is contraband, so you really can't blame them for imposing some kind of discipline on them for getting up, going on, Facebook or Instagram or whatever with machetes and doing music videos. So sometimes there's people like that going to lockdown, but most of the time, I mean, the people that go to lockdown, it's like they snapped on somebody or they was in a fight or I mean, they didn't go there for no reason most of the time. So you end
Right.
up with a lot of situations that happen in lockdown. A lot of fights between the inmates, a lot of times that the inmates get aggressive with your staff and stuff like that. So you just have to have a strong security presence in lockdown. But like I say, that's at Valdosta, one of the biggest close security prisons in the state,
Okay.
and they can't even find an inmate that's been strangled by his roommate for 2 days,
That's crazy.
even though they're supposedly doing 30-minute checks,
Yeah.
which they haven't even released more information about that. I guarantee you, man, there probably wasn't 10 officers on the entire compound, no more than that at any given time. And like I say, 90% of them were female. Probably. I don't know for sure, but you get my point. Like it's bad in there. It's been bad in there for years. Like
What I'm
something need to
starting to
be done a
learn.
long time ago.
What I'm starting to learn, because I had an opportunity to sit down and really talk to the warden over at that at Macon State. There are
Yes.
people who really want good things for other humans. And I'm not saying let's have a barbecue. I'm just saying that, simple things like church service and Juma and
Yes.
just basic necessities, things that they know that will calm certain situations. They've not been allotted to allowed to have those certain things take place. And then in reference to uh the drones that are coming in and certain tactics that they wanted to use, they were not allowed to use those tactics in order to stop those drugs from coming in the system, man. Um, so everybody, you know what? And I kind of felt bad because I talked bad about the prison, the faculty, but it's not until I sit down and really listen to you and to him and to other people, and I'm like, you know what, man, it's the y- there are a number of people who are at risk in these situations, and those are the people who are housed there, and those are the people that are sent into that situation to secure it. And you don't have the necessary tools in order to secure it. So your life is in danger just as much as uh the gang members or the civilians or whatnot. It's a crazy place to be, man. It's a crazy place to be. Um, have you ever been in a situation where somebody came into the visitation room though? No.
No, I've never seen anything like that. Now we did have a situation at Johnson. That I wasn't there that day when it happened, but at Johnson it was the same way that I'm talking about at Washington and Telfair and Valdosta, and because like I'm saying, this is a systemic problem with the prisons in Georgia. But yeah, at Johnson, I forgot exactly where I was gonna go. Which what was exactly the
Visitation, we talking about visitation.
oh
And
yes, the guy in the came in visitation and he got mad with his girlfriend up in there and got to getting belligerent with her. And there was only one female officer in visitation that day, and she couldn't do nothing with him, except beg him, please don't, hit nobody. And he actually grabbed the visitor.
mhm,
But that was, they were like him and the visitor were in a relationship, but the guy was visiting, or the girl was visiting the guy. And
yeah,
he got belligerent up there and they couldn't do nothing with him. And just luckily, he didn't escalate things any further. He kind of just barged out of visitation, and it didn't end with nobody getting hurt. And that was to me another example of like, hey man, we can't be leaving this like this. Something as bad is gonna happen,
yeah,
because something bad can happen because you ain't gonna have nobody, Look, if I'm at a prison, it don't matter if I'm just the only male there. If something like that is going on, like I'm gonna intervene. It don't matter, who it is. But even that, it's like you got me up in here, like at Johnson, for example, as the only man. It's like I can't do but so much. Like a situation like that at what was happening in Davisboro,
yeah.
groups, big mobs of people. What you think I'm finna do? Except go out the dang in a blaze of glory. That's the only thing you can do if you're up in there by yourself. If you're the only dude in there, And yeah, the people that's working in these places, most of them, they don't want it to be like this either. Trust me, they don't want to even be going up in there. That's why most of them
Right.
done quit or got up out from in there. But in one way or another, even if they did care, and even if they had put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into being an officer or being a counselor or being a whatever, because it's all the departments that are losing their people. It ain't just security.
Right.
They're losing the people because it's almost impossible to get somebody to work in an environment that's that chaotic and dangerous and unstable, where you don't never know when it's gonna pop and everybody's gonna be running around with knives stabbing each other. You know,
Mm.
so that's got to be fixed. Like that's been had to be fixed, but they ain't even tried to fix it. Because, like we see with the Washington situation, that person's giving testimony. There was one lone female officer in there trying to hold them dudes back and to get and tell everybody to evacuate and all this. And these dudes running around just taking over the whole prison. They
That's
just all
crazy.
out. There ain't who's stopping them. The videos that
Based,
I've seen, I haven't seen no officers in there.
no officers. Based on your experience, how quickly does violence, like at one prison, spread to others? How fast have you seen it an act take place at this institution and then hear other things taking place at another institution?
Oh yes, yeah, that's been going on since before I was, before I came.
Oh, okay.
Since cell phones have been uh major inside the prisons, it's been like that. Because even when cell phones weren't really that prevalent, like at Telfair, I mean, cell phones were like $5,000 a piece
That's
for the
crazy.
inmates. Like they had to pay serious money because it was hard to get them in. Like this was before the drones and all that. Like they had to get a staff compromise and they had to get people smuggling stuff in. And we had the body scanner, so it was hard to get cell phones in there.
Okay.
Now, stuff like tobacco and all that and drugs, it was a little easier because it wasn't metal. You'd have people that could get by with it a lot easier. But cell phones, we didn't have many cell phones. But even then, even when you might not have 3, 4 cell phones in each dormitory,
Uh-huh.
guess who has the cell phones? It ain't the it ain't the guy that's sitting there. When the cell phones are $5,000 a piece, it ain't the normal everyday inmates that's
Right,
got the
right,
cell
right,
phone.
right.
You
It's
got
somebody
it's
who
the
got
big
some other
homies
stuff.
that's got the cell phones anyway, even if it ain't
Right.
but a few cell phones. So when something like that pops, and if orders get gave to get back or
Yeah.
whatever, then it just happens. So yeah, we've had that many times. We've had a bunch of stuff that would happen, and before we could even know, somebody would say, "Hey, something happened at Hayes," and then we'd be talking about it, and they'd be like, "Code one at Telfair," and they down there stabbing each other, about the thing that happened. I will say that usually it doesn't it doesn't spread if nobody dies.
Right.
Like that's what I've noticed. Like if nobody dies, it usually it stays at the prison. It's when
Mm.
people start dying like this that I guess, more strict uh gang orders get given as far as, you know, like stabbing people and all that.
Okay. Can you explain
But
to me what a jammer is?
a jammer, we had those at Telfair even when I started. Okay, they didn't work. The inmates found ways around them like everything else.
What
When
does
you
it
don't
look
have the
like?
prison
Well, I mean,
security.
what does a jammer look like?
Well, the ones they had at Telfair, they would be outside the dorm windows. And they would have
Mhm.
like two on each side of the building. So it wouldn't be one at each window. It'd be like one in the middle of the top row windows and one in the middle of the bottom row windows. And it'd be pretty much just like a little antenna thing. And it would block the it would interfere with the cell phone signal around that area.
Right.
And it did make it a lot harder for them to get service and all that, but they still, especially once the what's the thing called, the hot spots and stuff started coming out. Like
Yeah.
man, it pretty much did away with the effectiveness of those, But um, now, as the technology progressed to where it's something entirely different,
Uh-huh.
could be. I've seen where they're saying that they want to do something like that all over the place, But I would just say, I haven't looked into it because I got so much other stuff. I may look into it, but with that situation, if they are the same type of thing as the ones that they had at Telfair, then
Mhm.
they're wasting taxpayer money again. We don't need cell phone jammers. We need to secure the prisons and get the cell. They don't need to have cell phones,
Right.
not unless we're gonna let them have cell phones where like they did with the tablets where everything's recorded on it. You
Right.
know that this is a big part of the problems in the prisons. How all these drugs got in there so bad. It's all really connects down to the cell phones. Like it
Mm.
really is a big deal because they can coordinate with people outside without anybody knowing, and that's how you get these drone drops and all this
So you
in the
saying
prison,
if
and
you
that's
could
how you
get
get
rid
the
of
violence spreading from prison to prison like this. Because I mean, it's instant notification for the statewide, nationwide, worldwide. You know,
right. So you saying if you could get rid of the cell phones, you could reduce the violence inside the prison.
oh, 100% by leaps and bounds, but it would have more to do with just securing the prison overall than it would specifically the cell phones. I mean, but the cell phones are the root thing with it anyway. And that, a lot of dudes and a lot of, guys that's in right now ain't gonna like that, what I'm saying. But I mean, it's just the truth, that if the cell phones wasn't there, you wouldn't have all the people high on drugs all the time, laying in the floor, ODing and stabbing up people. That's a lot of times how these wars pop off too. And that's
Yeah.
why some of these gangs have such strict anti-drug policies, especially in
Right.
regards to stuff like meth. Because these dudes will get on meth and they be done up 2, 3 days. They get to thinking everybody's damn plotting on them and stuff. And then next thing you know, this guy that's in a gang just whoops out and stabs somebody for no reason. That's in a different gang, and then boom. We've had situations like that several times where wars pop off behind a dude that was high on drugs. And that shouldn't even be something that you have common inside of maximum security prison.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have jokers been up for days on meth, running around up in the
Yeah.
prison.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just crazy.
You asking for some extra paperwork.
Yeah. You asking for some, like I say, some bloodshed too when you think of the totality of the circumstances, when you ain't got, but you also don't have but, 3 officers there.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay. How much control do gangs really have over dorms? And I guess I wouldn't say phones or contraband because I understand that. But how much do they have total control over the dorms?
I mean, it depends on the context, most of the time that the gangs, let's just say maybe a dorm, for example, at Telfair would have maybe 30 Bloods in it and 25 GDs and 10 Crips and you get the gist. Like it would be a mixture of all different kind of gangs in there. And none of them would really put the foot down to like I'm taking control of this. Now they would take control of their, you know, whoever was with them, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the head blood, the guy in there, like, yeah, he was in control of the bloods that was in there. Same thing with the GDs and the Cribs and all that. But even that, like usually when back then, as long as something was righteous and all that, like the gangs wouldn't like try to put their foot down as far as to push security around. Now, every now and then, like that situation that you seen where I was saying about when we had the standoff in the building where they was about to go to war. Now that was one time where the gangs did kind of, like try to assert their control and just say, y'all gotta leave so we can stab each other type of thing. And we're just luckily that didn't happen that day. I guess us, being there changed the tempo of it. But that was back in 2015. That was
Mhm.
when there was 30 officers rolling up in there when everybody was about to stab each other.
Yeah.
That's when somebody was at when we had people that would actually stay in there and try to dang do something the best we could, the most we could. And you know, once we got told to go ahead and leave, then we left. But until then, we was gonna try to do whatever we could to stop it. And what if that situation happens today? I'm gonna tell you, they don't nobody go in there and try to stop it. It
Right.
just pops. And that's why you got so many more different situations going on. Even though you got pretty much the same inmate population, you actually got a lesser inmate population. GDC has a lesser inmate population now than what they had in 2014.
Right.
But yet leaps and bounds more violence and death and suicide and drug use and you know, you name
Let
it.
let me ask you this, and I'm just thinking out loud. This is
Mhm.
just all hypothetical. What if there was a camp for the Bloods and a camp for GD and a camp for or a section or a dorm or you understand what I'm saying? What if they were separated to the point where it was impossible for them to get to each other?
I don't know, I don't know how that could turn out. Obviously the immediate thing would be like, well, dang, what if you have problems when they just be like, well, we'll just gang up on all y'all and just, they really put the foot down because, like I say, in the regular dormitories, that would be a lot of the things like when certain gangs would want to try to act up. Like just say when this gang would be like, we're going to
Yeah,
barricade the door and we're gonna do all this. The other gang members be rolling up on them and be like, hey man, we ain't trying to do all that. Be locked down and all this. Like you need to chill, man. Especially if it was about something that it wasn't even they was just acting up anyway.
right.
So a lot of times, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I hadn't seen where having it not be all one gang was beneficial just to the order of the prison, just because everybody didn't have to go along with whatever thing was happening with that gang.
Yeah.
But the gang situation, man, that I don't know how it got this bad and how everybody, I can't speak on exactly how it got here, but I mean it's resulting in a lot of bloodshed. I can tell you that. And unnecessary
Here, it don't
bloodshed.
look
Like
like it's
these people need to be most of the people are getting out. They need to be able to do time instead of being at war like this. But that just
yeah.
is that's just the nature of the business with that.
Do you see the war coming to an end anytime soon? And when I say the war, I don't mean just this current situation. Because when we get done with this, we'll have something else. It'll it'll
Yeah.
it'll 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 pop off again before it get hot outside.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
If
yeah.
nothing's done of any substance,
All right. So now let me ask you this. So it's 2026. So a governor can only run for 2 terms. The current
Mhm.
governor that we have has ran for 2 terms.
Yes.
Uh, who do you think is going to replace him, and do you think that they'll do anything?
I don't know. I haven't followed the
Me neither.
politics of the governor's
Me
thing,
neither.
but I know that Kemp ain't done whoever first of all, automatically whoever Kemp endorses,
Garbage,
dead. It's dead in the
garbage.
water. Matter of
Because it's
fact,
just
whoever
him. It's
any of
just
these other,
yeah.
a matter of fact, I want to talk to whoever is the winds up being the dang candidate. We need to talk about these prison systems. Whoever won't even honestly speak on or answer questions
Uh-huh.
about
You
the
know what's
things that's
going
going
on.
on,
Yeah.
automatically disqualified because we at the point now where something needs to be done. I'm personally of the mentality that we don't need to wait until governor's race because you're talking about November. You're talking
Yeah.
about what? 11 more months of walking on eggshells, waiting on everybody to get murked up in the prison. And just for what few staff that are there to have to witness the dang death and destruction of everything, man, that's some bull crap. It needs to be Kemp needs to either do something right now or the people of Georgia need to meet up there and demand that he be removed and put
Yeah.
somebody in there that will, because this is resulting in the loss of life.
Yeah.
It is a public service issue. These people are public servants. They are sworn to not be violating the Eighth Amendment rights of the inmates inside and all this putting these officers in these positions. So, but that's what the people will tell you, though. That's what most people that's mainstream will say. Well, we need to, the next person will get it something done. Man,
Nah,
I
and
done
they never
seen,
do.
me personally, I done seen several administrations come through.
Yeah. And
And
nobody
it
does
ain't nothing
anything.
changed. Me personally, I was thinking, oh, when Trump gets elected, because I was seeing everything go to crap when Biden was the president. Obviously, at least as far as the prisons, anyway.
Okay.
And I didn't see where nobody was wanting to do anything. So it was after I left where the election happened and all that. And during the election, I was like, well, maybe when Trump's president again, that they're going to try to do something. Man, they ain't did nothing. They haven't did nothing but lie, steal. So I
No,
don't know.
they killed the protester.
Yeah, yeah, they did that.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
did that.
and that's just that ain't what we need to be doing right now.
It's
We got
not, man.
issues that need solving. No, that's not what we need doing. They some stuff that needs doing though.
Yeah.
No doubt. And it needs doing ethically, and it needs doing righteously and all that. But it needs doing like somebody, some men are going to man up and go up in there and take control of that prison,
Let me
or it's
ask you
just
this.
going to keep,
Let
or
me
it's going to keep going like what it's going now. Like you're saying, we're going to keep having these same headlines. Eventually somebody's going to have to do it.
You would think that you would have think I would have thought when the attorney general came in, this was now it's been over a year, and they came in and said, this is not right. Something has to be done about it, man. This is just inhumane. And then it was just like watching the clock and nothing's happened. Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened.
You would
Um,
think that we're talking about a governor race. You would think that when the federal Department of Justice comes and says, "Hey, man, your prisons are violating y'all are doing cruel and unusual punishment down here, having these prisons be this crazy." You think that something would be done, but like I say, it's been crickets, man. So that tells you that I don't know what that tells you. That tells me something. I know that. It tells
yeah,
me that they ain't got the people of Georgia's best interests in mind.
that's a
No matter
scary
who they
place to
are,
be.
the officers, the staff, the inmates, the civilians that come to visit, the civilians in the community, they ain't got nobody's best interest in mind.
They
You know.
don't. Um, damn. I think that the only, and I'm just thinking out loud now. I think I just because I'm just
Mhm.
leaving the class and I was at the juvenile courthouse, and
Yeah.
as I'm trying to explain to them how deadly and how bloody prison can be, it's falling on deaf ears. It's like they're not really understanding what's going on, and I'm thinking that uh, the goal is to deter and to discourage, but it's almost like there's a population of people that's just ready to beat the doors down and can't wait to get off in there. And they already got their comfortable games and they got that aspect of life figured out, man. It's a hey man, it's the American way, man. Here's where
And
we
you
at.
know what? And you know what? None of them are going. It's up to us to speak on their behalf because they're while they are the ones dying and the ones paying the biggest price, they can't speak out like I'm doing right now for themselves. It's against the rules for them. Okay, so they can't try to advocate for somebody to come in and take control of the prison. You
Right,
know, but
right.
but I can and I will. Something needs to be done for
Yeah.
them and like I was saying before, for everybody. Because letting it be like this ain't doing no good for nobody, for anyone.
Are there other people who are just as dissatisfied as you, or are the upper management focused on just getting their money?
I'll tell you this: that I've been told that there's a lot of people. Well, there's a subset of people that agree with me and that are back. That are like they wish they could support me, but they can't because they get fired, and they're still scared of getting fired. So
Right.
now I ain't gonna call them out or nothing, but for me personally, like it ain't time to be with that. Like it's time to do what's right and dang on that. Like if you want to stand with me, then you can stand with me. And that goes for any of them. Like if any of them want to publicly speak out about things while they're still employed, I mean they can, but they're just gonna get fired.
Yeah.
But that proves that the whole thing is illegitimate anyway with them. But there's a lot of people, man, that they gonna do what they get told to do, and if they get
Simple as that.
told. So, I mean, they order followers, man. They're not gonna go against the grain, and that's just the majority of people anyway.
Right.
That's not talking down on nobody or nothing like that. Like
Right.
it
Right.
it
Right.
does
Right.
it does take a lot to like buck in order, especially, it takes a lot to stand up like I did, especially when you have the experience behind it. Most people with the experience behind me, they're not gonna do this just because they don't want to suffer the repercussions of it.
Right.
But to me, just there being repercussions like that shows that I need to do it, personally,
Yeah.
because I just look at the world different than financially. No. Like I'm fine no matter. I'll go. sit by a creek and eat fish. I'm not stressing on money. I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna have peace at certain times here and there in my life, no matter what. It don't matter if I got money or not.
Hmm.
So but most people don't have that mentality.
Right.
So, and this is just one of those things where most people that feel like I feel are already gone. They're not in there anymore. They done did like they might not have did like I did, like trying to really start some crap about it, but they just left. They just said, well, I gotta, they got jobs at distribution centers, or they got jobs trucking, or they went
Hmm.
to Georgia State Patrol, or they went somewhere other than up in the prisons, and they don't want to talk about it to a bunch of these guys because they're in law enforcement agencies now still,
Hmm. Hmm.
and there's just a lot of flag behind it, even if it's truth to speaking out against the leaders in certain departments.
Right.
So, but there's a lot of people that do though, especially among the people that no longer working there.
I got a
That
question. If you were still wearing the uniform today, what would scare you most about the current Bloods versus GD situation?
the fact that you don't have anyone there to be able to offer first aid, or even like, I wonder how long it took for them to be able to start getting these guys out on ambulance. Because from what I'm being told, they wouldn't even for the first while, they wouldn't even the inmates wouldn't even let medical get to the guys that had been stabbed up. They was like, no, y'all can't go down there. They rolled up because they went all over the compound. I would love to see more footage than what I've seen, but from what I understand, like they didn't even let these guys get medical attention for a little while until some things, got more under control. And that's how you end up with people passing away like this too. You don't have anybody there to be able to respond and secure the prison, and even if they wasn't going to secure the whole thing, like if you had people there that could at least take keep all the gates locked so they can't just take over the whole prison, and take people to medical, and
Right.
let the nurses start working on them before they go out on the ambulance. But they didn't even have that. I guarantee you they wasn't 10. Like they might not even been 5 officers there. I would love for them to be able to ask them, but I don't think they'd even be truthful about the truth of it. I know for a fact that there was a lot of times there wasn't 5 there, um, when at the time that I left.
So if an individual stabs another individual and then he stops medical from administering some form of service and that individual dies, then all those people involved get murder charges, correct?
Um, they get some charges, and I'm not sure if it would be murder specifically.
Uh,
Um, but it would be felony charges for sure for obstructing, the ability of somebody to be able to get aid.
yeah,
It would be some kind of charge that would be serious. I'm not, I hadn't never really got that much into like the free world litigation of like charges on people for things like that. But yeah, it'll be a charge for sure. But they probably don't even know who the people were. They were probably most of them
right.
had masks and all that on while they was
Everybody
doing
got
the thing.
masks on.
Mhm.
Are
Yeah,
emergency
that's what's
res-
scary too. Like, go ahead.
no, okay, so they got a question, but I got a question because I remember the CERT team, if they came, it was some ass whoopings that was going to transpire. You know what I mean? It was. I'm not
Yeah.
saying everybody just was scared like it was an act of God, but it was like, hey, the search team is on the way, man. So whatever.
If there's two people that's stabbing one another and a certain team show up, they ain't about to be stabbing one another no more. Not
Right,
in just a moment.
right, right.
That's what we did. That's our job when we're supposed to be.
So
We're doing what we're
where's the
supposed
search
to do.
team?
There ain't one. There wasn't one at Washington when I was there. That's just how bad some of these prisons have got, where there's not even a CERT team. And then if you do have a CERT team, it might be one male and one female or something at a male prison. And like
That's
I say,
crazy. Is it the money?
you have to have 5 men to even do a stack
Right.
appropriately. To even roll off, you have to have 5 to even really roll off into a dormitory that's
What's a
really
stack?
popping off like that.
What's a stack?
I want to like lining up and doing a cell extraction.
Okay, okay,
You
okay,
know,
okay, okay. All right, all
getting
right, all right, all right.
getting in a line and running off in a
Right,
cell or in a dormitory or whatever, stacking up is like it's a way you enter the door and stuff.
all right,
I'm using terms and from that.
right. Is it the money? Is it that they don't want to pay the officers, or they just can't hire the officers?
I mean, obviously, people that are doing things in these kind of serious environments, they need to be paid appropriately. The people that's doing down there in these in the prisons, they need to be paid more than what they're paid, obviously. But at the same time, like I say, now a while ago, it was a pay issue that was mostly keeping people out. Now it don't like I say, it don't even matter how much you pay them. Something has to be done intermediately just to take control of this environment.
Right.
Because it don't matter how much you pay somebody. Like I say, when you bring them in and they've been there 2 weeks, and next thing you know, 3 people are dead and 20 others are stabbed, and the inmates are not letting nobody see medical, and everybody's running with machetes out and all this. They're like,
Yeah, I'm
no,
good.
this ain't for
I'm
me.
good. Y'all can have this. I'm good.
Yeah, y'all can have this. I ain't with this. And you can't blame them. The GDC shouldn't have the prisons operating like that.
All right.
You know, but
Are
emergency.
emergency response teams stretched too thin when multiple prisons erupt at once?
Oh yes, especially when there's not that many emergency response team members anyway. Like I say, you're looking at. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers because I don't have access to all those numbers anymore. But where, just for example, when I started at Telfair, even in 2014, which there were a lot of things that needed to happen even then, but
Uh-huh.
then almost every prison had a 9-man CERT team.
Okay.
That was that was a commander and 8 members. Every serious prison had one.
Okay.
Almost all of these members at male prisons were male. In fact, all of them were, even in 2014. I don't think there might have been one, maybe, female 13 member at a male prison in the
Right.
whole state. Now,
Okay.
at the female prisons, they would have females, on the 13.
Okay.
But at this point, they didn't. Now, the tax squad was a little bit different. They encouraged females a little more to get on the tax squad. The tax squad and CERT team are two different things. But yeah, the CERT teams get stretched too thin because they're not even. But like I was saying, so you had 8 and 1 on every CERT team, and
Hmm.
that's the team that's there at that prison. Not 24/7, but they're stationed at that prison. Like they always work at that prison. They from that prison most of the time. They've been working there for a long time. They just got on the team, and that's their daily job is an emergency response member.
Uh-huh.
Then you got the tax squad, which is a separate force that is for statewide or things like these riot situations and other things. Now they every serious prison in the state when I started, even in 2014, was a 12-man tax squad. So you had a
Okay.
commander and 11 members. You had 12 people on all your tax squad.
Okay.
At every prison. So you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of people that are on this tax squad that at any moment can get called up. And that's part of what you sign up for. Like you get called at any time and you go anywhere in the state anytime. Don't matter if it's 1 o'clock in the morning on Christmas. Get
Mhm.
up and you put that black uniform on, you go where you need to go to get whatever it is under control.
Gotcha.
Now there's almost no prisons with a 12-man tax squad. There are almost no prisons with a 9-man CERT team. Most of your prisons have 1 or 2 on tax squad, or
Right.
4 or 5, and most of them are female now. Now the gender roles have reversed. Instead of it being mostly male, now it's mostly female. And
That's
when you're talking about,
dangerous.
yeah, you're talking about something that's seriously dangerous. When you're looking at situations like that thing that happened yesterday or Sunday at Washington,
Hmm.
I seen where they had pictures of when they were sending the tax squad in, where it was several of them that was going in was female. You don't need females in a situation, man. That is complete dang. That's war off in there. I don't even want to take a female with me in a situation like that. No competent man wants to because they're just it ain't got nothing against females,
It's
but that's just
what's crazy.
recognizing
What's
reality.
crazy
They
is
they
I
they are unhelpful in situations like that.
listen. Last night I was on my other page, and me and
Mhm.
one of my brothers was talking. He's from Macon, and he said something similar. And he was going back and forth with one of the young ladies in the chat because we were talking about politics. He said, "Hey man, when it's time for war, uh, I don't want the woman to fight with me. Stay back.
No.
Let me be a man. Let me man up. Let me handle this situation because you just gonna complicate it and it's gonna get weird."
Yeah, and it's gonna endanger everybody around. And I can articulate exactly why, because I done been there and
Okay.
done this
Okay.
multiple times. And I love women. I'm always gonna protect women, don't matter
Right.
who they are. So this ain't got nothing to do with women. But if me and you roll off up into something that's dangerous, look, I know that you're a man and you know that I'm a man.
Right.
I'm gonna handle my business and you're gonna handle your business. I
You
don't
got
have to
no
worry
choice.
about you. I don't have, I'm gonna try to protect you and all that, but at the same time, like we going in with the knowledge that it's
Right.
about to get real or it
Right.
could, and we're okay with that. Whereas when I go into a situation like that with a woman, now I'm kind of, first of all, they can't even help when it gets real violent like that because they just don't even they're not equipped to do that.
Right.
But besides that, now I'm got to think about trying to protect them up in here simultaneously.
Mm.
It's like having it's like having a
It's like having a
child up in there
child.
with you.
No disrespect,
It
but it's like
is.
having a child. Yeah.
It is because when that dude wants to move her out of the way, all he does is do this, and she's gone, and I'm still there. So it's like it's unhelpful, and it
Right.
causes man. I've done had situations where I got this guy and I'm holding him against the wall, and there ain't nothing but me and this female there, and and it's I have to be more rougher than I need to be on this guy because like she can't help me and he's bucking. So I mean, I gotta hurry up and dang. Whereas if it was me and another guy, like the other guy's finna walk up and help me hold him, and we're just gonna hold this guy,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And now instead I gotta like they gonna get my wrestling out on this guy and they gonna slam him out on the ground and try to get on top of him because I don't got nobody here to help me even get him under control if he does decide. And I mean it ain't been that many times, but I have had people decide that they're gonna try to whoop me, you
Yeah.
know. And if you don't have no male around to help you, the female, I have never been in a situation with a female that they were as much help as a male could be. And that's just in most situations they get in the way more than anything else,
Right.
and that ain't like I say, that ain't nothing against women. Women ain't never been, that just ain't women's role, man. And it's obvious when they get in these situations.
Yeah.
It's not the role of most men, like we were saying in the previous conversation.
Exactly.
Like you
Exactly.
have to find the men that
Right.
that
Right.
are that
Right.
are that
It's
can
not for the weak
perform
hearted.
in situations like that. You actively have to search just for men that can do stuff like that.
Right. It's
The
not for
the
the weak hearted.
percentage of women that can do stuff like that, I'm sure there are a small percent, but man, it's small. And our women that are in there ain't those women.
Right.
And
Right.
like I say, I don't think they need to be fired or nothing like that. They don't need to get rid of them. I ain't saying nothing like that. But they need to be like it was even 15 years ago. We just
Right.
need to go back to common sense. At male prisons, they need to be in the control room or whatever, and you need to have male officers that are controlling situations like what was happening in Washington and the floors and the lockdown units and all that.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth of it.
What's the real reason the public rarely hears full details about prison gang conflicts?
My opinion on it is because it's one of these issues that they don't intend on addressing. So they don't allow it to hit the media airwaves like that.
It makes sense.
You know, you
Good
have to
take
have
on.
people doing stuff. You have to have people going rogue, like me, to
Right.
even get anybody speaking honestly about stuff like this that has any kind of experience and knowledge with the system.
Yeah. Um, how often are mental health breakdowns mistaken for disciplinary problems during high tension periods?
It happens. It happens, no doubt. But
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it's like a huge thing that happens all the time. I mean, we don't have that many breakdowns really that I've seen. I mean, um, except at Valdosta. Now Valdosta was a little different because it was level 3 mental health and it had a big mental health population. They were on all these drugs. That's another thing. The state's got all these shady behind contracts with these pharmaceutical companies, and all these people do, these so-called psychiatrists that see
Uh-huh.
these inmates, is prescribe them these drugs that turn them into dang. I'm talking about they be drooling and
Zombies.
everything, man. Crazy. This is not how you're supposed to be treating people. But
Right.
they got the money thing set up with it with the pharmaceuticals where it ain't like they can offer them holistic health or nothing like that. They ain't gonna offer it to them. If they ever go to mental health, they about to go on that stuff probably.
Simple as
You
that.
know, as simple as that. And then like when I came from Telfair and went to Valdosta at 21 years old as a lieutenant, it was wild, man. It was wild because I had not been around any mental health population for me anyway. Like I wasn't even mental health trained or none of that because um I was now I got it not long after I got there and all. But um when I got there, I hadn't even worked within mental health population because Telfair wasn't mental health at all before I left. It was just
Mhm.
high gang population, but it was no mental health. And I came to Valdosta, and I'll never forget, man. The first day I was in the chow hall, I was running the line, and there was this guy coming through the line, and I remember he was just like staring me down and stuff, And where I come from at Telfair, it's like, man, what you sizing me up in here or something,
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
first meet me. So
yeah.
when he come through, he's still staring at me and all. He come through, he got his tray, he was walking by me, still looking at me. I mean, and it was just like I thought he was being disrespectful to me, and I said something to him. Like
Yeah,
I didn't say nothing out of the way. I pretty much just said like, "What you looking at, man? Like, why you
yeah.
looking at me like?" And then all the not all of them, but there were several inmates around that was like, "Oh, Lou, you don't know him. He's on that hound dog, man. Don't worry about him. He don't mean nothing by it. He's on that hound dog." And I was like, "Dang, what are they even talking about? Some kind of hound dog that
Yeah.
this inmate's on?" you know. So I was like, "Okay," and he just kind of walked off, and I was like, "Man, what is going on?" And then I asked somebody outside. I was like, one of the lieutenants that was there. I was like, what are they talking about? The hound dog. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, they talking about how dog. They talking about that
Oh,
mental health medication that they inject them with,
damn.
you know. And I seen a bunch of people, man. That stuff didn't do people good at all. You know. Ooh,
Mm.
it was uncomfortable to see people like that. Like we don't need people look, we don't need people to be violent and be all that either, but you know, there's other ways than that.
Right. I
Most
had somebody
most
saying
times anyway.
dangerous drugs to black label stuff. And how often are routine searches skipped because there simply aren't enough officers on shift?
Oh, there ain't no routine searches going down no more. That's
Huh?
been stopped. That's been stopped. They don't do no daily searches. The officers too scared to go up in there searching the dormitory when they ain't got number 2, 3 of them there. Heck, even I stopped doing as many searches toward the end, and I ain't scared like that, you know. But like I say, man, when there's two of y'all up in there, you real selective about what you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
around
yeah,
doing,
yeah, 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 yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Because
Yeah.
especially when you understand what's up, and you done been there and done that, like you know what it is when it really pops. So
Right.
that's just common sense. Like even me, even somebody that's hardcore like me, I mean, shoot, I wasn't running around doing cell searches when it got that bad. I'll tell you that right now. Now, if I seen something, I did it, and if I know, it ain't like I didn't never search, but you get what I'm saying, like daily cell searches that's supposed to happen and all that by the
Right.
regular officers.
Yeah.
No, sirree, that
Not
ain't
happening.
happening at all. Ain't no searches. That's why everybody's got machetes and knives. Like we used to do a lot of searches, yeah. Like especially before the staff shortages got so bad, and that's how we kept down a lot of the knives and stuff like that was
Yeah.
by doing regular searches. And to me, if I were running the prison, if I
Mhm.
was warden of one of these prisons right now, I wouldn't want to be doing no more searches than I had to. I would want to do a lot of searching to get most of the contraband out of there, have it running orderly, and not have to do as many searches. At least when you're talking about, just doing the whole dormitory, strip searching everybody and all that old stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I would try to have it where, you didn't have to do that as far as dormitory wide a lot.
Okay.
But by doing that, you have to just do the minimums. If we wouldn't have to go around and search down the dormitories all at once like that all the time, if we just did the regular when they go to chow, make sure we search some people, pat search them and stuff like that. And when they go out everywhere, we search them like we're supposed to. We actually do those cell searches the 3 per day or whatever that you're supposed to do, and you just do regular security, and you have officer presence there, that when the officers see stuff because they're down there in a dormitory all day and night, like they're supposed to be by law and by policy,
Hmm.
then they can find a lot more stuff, and you don't have to do these wide scale shakedowns where everybody's stuff gets, shuffled around and all. Like that's necessary, especially when you got it when it's just totally out of control and everybody's got a knife like it is now. But hopefully the goal should be to not have the knives like that. And in order to do that, you have to have officers down there. You can take all the knives today and then leave that dormitory down there abandoned for another week, and they'll be right back. Because
Just like
who's
that.
gonna stop them? They can be down there, boom, boom, boom. I mean, I've done been walking behind dorms after it got short like this, and I would hear these things, boom, boom, boom. You can hear them in their mouth. I'm talking about making the knives, and it's like, again, what do you do? Go in there, and I would, go in there, tell them to stop. Stop making the knives for right now. There's somebody here. In just a
Um,
minute, it'll be 4 hours before you see anybody else. Who's gonna stop them? Like I say, what I'm gonna do? Run up in there and search the dorm by myself? Dude, I'm gonna get in there and get beat up. That's what's gonna happen. And that's you can't do it when you don't have the people. There's not nearly enough people there to try to maintain order. Even the
I
people that care, they're gonna be letting small stuff go because, like I say, I mean, you
trying to stay
you
alive.
have to choose your battles wisely. I'd be making a shank if I was up in there too. That's another thing about it. I'd have a shank too if they left me down there in the in the dorm. You
Yeah,
know, if I could, but
I'm
they
late
shouldn't
to
be
this.
leaving these. They shouldn't be leaving these guys like this.
How bad is the staff shortage in the prison system now?
Bad enough that we making worldwide history, and that nobody even, like I say, that should be something that's on national news. Georgia's prisons become first noted prisons, maximum security prisons in history to be manned by only 1 or 2 female officers at a whole male prison. But they ain't
Mm.
doing that. But yeah, it's bad, man. It's really bad. Now, some of the prisons, from what I understand, have like Ware, for example. Ware was looking real bad for a long time, and I think now, from what I seen off a video the other day, I mean they've came back up somewhat. But like I say, I guarantee you that things are bad at Ware because there's not enough to keep control of the prison
Yeah,
there, even though they're getting a little more. You got some of these prisons that, like Telfair, right now it's nighttime too, man. It probably ain't 5 people there, officers on the compound, and it's really impossible to even operate Telfair State Prison without 22 officers there
yeah.
to any kind of standard, and that's without running the kitchen, without running having somebody to
Man,
do count
listen,
and all that. Like that's bare
I
minimum
I
22,
had a
and they running it with
conversation.
5.
I had a conversation with a warden. I'm not gonna say his name. He said he called up and he said, "How many we got?" And they told him three. And he had first. He said, "Three what? Three
3
officers."
officers.
Hey man,
Yeah, 3 officers. That's what's going on down there. And that's state of emergency. The first time it got like it shouldn't even been allowed. Like I say, that when it got to 21, somebody should have did something.
yeah,
But they didn't. And they let it keep getting worse. And these conditions got so bad, like, man, I'm surprised that I made it through it and didn't, I'm sure I'm probably a little off just because I've always been a little off. But
yeah.
I think I maintained my sanity, for the most part. But man, it was crazy seeing all this go like this. Like it's unbelievable. If you wasn't there to see it with your own eyes, like I say, it's hard to get the civilians and the people that hadn't been there or don't have a loved one that's been there that's telling them these things. Like it's hard to even get them for it to click in their
Right.
head exactly what's going on.
I got are officers trained for organized gang conflict or just reaction after blood has already spilled?
Pretty much just the latter, especially with the regular officers. With just regular COs, nah, I mean, they don't. But man, they've done let the even with the people that they are hiring, they've let the standards get so bad. That this is how bad they let the standards get, man. They graduated somebody from BCOT that couldn't even walk up the stairs to get their certificate. They weren't even physically capable. They went in there and sat down at the bottom of the stairs and had them walk their certificate down there to them and give it to them. This is coming out of basic. This is coming out of basic. This person shouldn't even been allowed to be there. Like, it ain't about being mean to people and all that, but if you are not up to standard of, and the standards for their physical fitness are very, very low.
Mm.
If you can't pass that,
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
not no help to you're not any help to anybody up in here, you know? And that's just the truth of the matter too. So we got a lot of that going on too, where a lot of the officers are just they don't take it seriously, man. They don't even take their own officers seriously. I was just lucky that I came up under some people that did take their officers seriously and tried to teach them things, one to one and stuff like that. Like I was saying before, like people that's saying, hey, these are some things that you need to do to make sure that things stay orderly at the prison and things
Mhm.
like that. Like I had individuals that did stuff like that with me because I was probably more because I was just so outspoken and doing a lot at the prison and, put myself out there.
Yeah.
But as far as training that they give to everybody, no, man. Some of these officers are not prepared to like I say, do a push up. So
Exactly.
heck no, they ain't ready to go against the gangs.
Right.
Heck, they can't even make it down there. They can't even run down there when the gangs start. When it starts to pop off.
I
So
think
that's
I
just so that just goes back to the total just unseriousness of the
of the
department.
whole thing. Some of these
Yeah.
questions I think you kind of already answered, like what's more dangerous right now, overcrowding or understaffing, and why? You, I,
Yeah.
yeah,
Understaffing.
yeah,
Understaffing. But I mean the overcrowding thing is a problem. And like I say, that whatever prisons are have 3-man beds, that needs to be stopped. That's just point blank period. There ain't
yeah.
no
I was
sense.
talking to
Unless you're gonna make the
somebody and
rooms
they
bigger,
told me,
unless you're gonna make the rooms bigger, you don't take a room that was designed for a bunk bed and go up in there and triple bunk that thing and triple locker box that thing. Some of these cells, man, you can't barely move around in there. And you got 3 men off in there. No wonder they have more fights. That needs to be stopped, but I don't think it's many prisons that even do that. I mean, there might be like 4 or 5.
so I heard
And it's
somebody tell me earlier today or yesterday, it was like, yeah, they got triple bunks. And I said, triple bunks. I said, I've never in my life, I seen it on TV, but I've never been in an environment where it was 3 bunks. I couldn't even imagine being in a room in a 2-man cell with 3 men.
yeah. Like the first time I said, because I never like Valdosta didn't have that, Telfair didn't have that, Johnson didn't have that. I think Washington might, but I don't remember. But I know I've went to some prisons that did when I was on tax squad, and I just remember searching these cells and being like, "Dang man, 3 dudes is off up in here." You know? It was hectic just trying to search the cell
I
with so
can
much
only
stuff in there.
imagine. I can only
Yeah,
imagine.
I mean, that's just common sense that you don't need to do that. I mean, like I say, it'd be different if the cell was a lot bigger. Maybe you could have 3 people in there.
Yeah.
But not in no little bitty cell like that. No,
Yeah,
no,
that's crazy.
like that. That's asking for trouble.
You
But
asking for it. It's
but
just a matter
like
of
we've been
time.
outlining, they asking for trouble left and right. They don't want nothing but trouble off in this thing.
Yeah.
Evidently, you know, they need to be the commissioner. I agree with what the Human and Civil Rights Coalition said earlier. He needs to be removed. The commissioner, he has done a poor job. The
Now,
man, he didn't even come.
who's the commissioner?
Tyrone Oliver is his name. He didn't even
Tyrone
come.
Oliver.
He didn't even come from the Georgia Department of Corrections anyway. And like I said in my post earlier, I kind of feel bad for him because like I know that it was very bad when he took over for Timothy Ward. When he was a commissioner, like that's when things really started slipping downhill. But I mean, he's been in there long enough. He's done had whistleblowers come forward like me under his command. He done had all kind of incidents go down under his command, and still hasn't publicly called for no kind of action to happen.
Nothing.
Hasn't admitted, hadn't done what he can do, like I was saying earlier, and shut in all these little programs and bring all your officers into the prisons to secure them. He hasn't done that. He hasn't asked publicly for Kemp to do anything. Kemp himself hasn't done anything. All these people need to go. Kemp, all them. The Tyrone Oliver, Sean Emmons, which is one of the big regional directors or whatever, he needs to go just because of how unprofessional he's been and how much he's brought the staff morale down at the prisons that he's worked at.
Now,
And I've
somebody
already done
said that also it's important to note that he is simultaneously on the board of the
of the ACA.
ACA.
That's me probably writing that.
Oh, that is you. That's crazy. My bad.
Yeah, and he's on the board of the
Yeah, bro,
ACA.
that
One of
is
the
you.
main problems. So like, it's obvious this dude needs to go.
An organization that the GDC has spent millions of taxpayer dollars on to further the goal of being. Oh, that's what we were talking about a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm.
How is that not a conflict of interest? Do they even abide by the standards of the ACA? Or is it all, or is it a house built on lies? What year did ACA accrediting begin? What has happened since? I got a lot of people that chimed in. A lot of people
Mhm.
that chimed in, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
And look at what some of these people are saying.
Yeah. Speaking on the
You know.
experience of the GDC, it was my first time in the prison, a 30 to serve 14 years for armed robbery. My very first prison was Macon State Prison. Uh, it seems to be a common understanding as to where we at. Like we're fucked. But then there's no real solution. There is no real solution, man. The big bad wolf came in, which was the attorney general in my eyes, to me, but I don't know a whole lot. Um, Still it just continues, man. I did call, we're gonna talk offline because I did call somebody about that exhibition battle or fight. They were
Mhm.
very interested. Um,
Okay.
but man, I just again, I hate to keep ending our conversations the same way. And then the next time we talk, bro, before this week is out, it's gonna be some more nonsense. It's gonna be
It
some more
is.
bloodshed.
Because they still had nothing been done. There still hasn't been any accountability. So as
No
long as we're still
accountability.
in that, until they're publicly apologizing to people like me and begging us to come help them and
Yeah.
and getting rid of these people like Tyrone Oliver and Ahmed Holt that I talked to on Zoom that was lying to me all the time during our
Mhm.
conversation after I submitted my letter, like
That's
Sean
who is
Emmons, who brings
Ahmad who is that?
he's the assistant commissioner of the facilities division. That's the one that I had the Zoom meeting with after I submitted my statement.
Okay, so let me.
He
I'm just gonna play devil's advocate
he's
here.
probably, and I hadn't even looked it up. He's probably getting money through ACA too. I don't know. He's getting money through something like
Let
that. Even if he ain't, he like I say, he's not interested in solving the problem. Even when some of their most experienced staff comes up and says, "Hey, it's time to do something about this," like
I'm gonna
right
play.
now.
I'm gonna
Like
play devil's advocate. What if is it possible that the individuals that we just talked to that their hands are tied as well?
it's very possible that they're being told that to not do anything. Yeah, by people that's above them. But I mean, I just think that when you take a position like that and you swear to uphold the Constitution and
Uh-huh.
you say that you're over an agency like that, then you just don't have that excuse. I don't think. I mean, I ain't saying that he should be charged necessarily, not him anyway. I don't know of anything specific that he's done, but the prisons are not accomplishing the mission. People are
Simple as that.
dying daily. Nobody's doing anything about it. So ultimately, he's responsible because he's the commissioner and he took that position and said that he was going to secure, safely and securely operate the prisons of Georgia. And that's not happening. So we need somebody else. And not him specifically. I can't say anything about him specifically because I didn't talk to him specifically when I exited, and I didn't know him very very much anyway. I just know that, like I say, yeah, his hands are probably tied. ACA probably telling me he better not because part of the solution is going to be kicking they
So
behind
what you're
out.
saying is
So obviously he can't.
his hands are tied because his pockets is full.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I mean, I don't got much pity on somebody like that.
Right.
You know,
Okay, I got
people are dying behind. People are dying behind you,
that's the
lining
most
your pocket,
that's the
sir.
most important thing, man. You are getting paid
You
for
know,
human lives. Best channel on YouTube, in my opinion. I appreciate that, bro. What questions should the public be asking GDC but never does?
how many male officers were present at the prison during this incident?
Damn. How many male officers were all right,
Present.
I
Were
got
there.
hold on. I'm putting it on Facebook right now. How many male
Male
officers?
officers were present at Washington State Prison when it kicked off. And I haven't even found out who the officer was that got hurt. I hope that, I'm assuming that it must not have been too bad if they didn't, go to the hospital or nothing like that. Or if they didn't put the name out of them or whatever.
Oh, I just got a text that says going down at Hayes and Hancock as we damn.
Man.
Damn.
Man.
They say it's active, like it's going on right now. I just got
And
two
and
text
and
messages.
and those prisons, man, those prisons ain't no joke.
I know
Like it's real.
man.
We were just talking about this, not long ago. Something has got to be done, or this is going to continue. And I'm not good with it, but you know, I don't know. I'm here for whatever. I'm here for boxing matches. I'm here for protests, and I'm here for whatever, you know. And these people, I like I say, I can't wait to stand across from them and debate. Yeah, when they have that governor, when they do figure out who they're going to get to do the governor, they need to let us know when they're having these little meetings and stuff when people could come and ask questions. Because I got some questions for his or her
Yeah,
behind,
yeah.
before I would get behind anybody. And this stuff like this, like I say, this goes past voting. This is right and wrong of human beings. It don't matter who you are or what race or ethnicity or religion that you are, you should be able to say that what's going on now is not right. Period. So it's time to stop it. But that don't seem to be their mentality. That's my mentality. I'm
Right.
ready. Come out solution. The daggone, I don't know. Take
I
the
got
commissioner out. As far as who to put there, say security of the prison doesn't even matter. No more Hancock. You speak medium. Yeah. Hancock was, at least from one of the time I started, it was close, but it was one of these prisons that you hardly ever had any incidents at. Like,
mm,
6, 7 years ago, you didn't hardly have no incidents going on at Hancock State Prison because Hancock was the level 5 that had the programs and stuff. Like I forget what the exact program is, but they got a big program that they run at Hancock for the close security guys. And I mean I don't forgot the name of it or whatever. It may not even be going anymore. But Hancock was a close security, but also a program of some type, a good program that they had there that kept most people out of stuff. And that goes back to what you were mentioning at the beginning of the conversation, like running these things like Rick and like these services, church services and Jumar and
yeah,
Tylene and all
yeah,
this
yeah.
stuff that they're supposed to have anyway. We used to run all that. Are they not running it now or something? They probably can't because they ain't got no officers there.
And
They
have
probably they
staff to do it.
scared. They're scared to even let them go up there because they're worried that they're gonna get up there and start hacking each other with machetes up in visitation and all because the prison's unsecure. And that ain't a good excuse. It's prisons that are insecure that y'all can't run them out to do religious services, then we got a problem.
Yeah, somebody just texted me and said it's like everybody's death struck.
What you mean? What does
Uh
that mean?
like the gangs. And then I'm seeing now on channel 2 what they're saying is one of the guys
Where they were set to have a family reunion on Wednesday. They had it all planned out. Jimmy Tremont
he was on his way home. He was supposed to go home.
catch a bus here to this Greyhound bus station and start his new life. But he was killed 4 days before his release.
Oh yeah, one of the guys at Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was released on Wednesday.
It's where 42-year-old Jimmy Trammell expected to be Wednesday after 10 years as an inmate with the Georgia Department of Corrections for felony burglary charges. He was going to be taking the bus back here, and he needed to be picked up on the bus station. And I was going to pick him up from the bus station, but I didn't get that chance. According to Aquinas, his brother Jimmy Trammell was killed Sunday as fights broke out in the Washington State Prison in Washington County. Trammell is one of 3 inmates who were killed. The Department of Corrections saying Ahmaud Hatcher and Teddy Jackson are the other 2 inmates. At least 13 other inmates and a corrections officer were injured. Aquinas got a call from the warden in the early hours of Monday morning. She just said he was involved in an altercation and he lost his life. For Aquinas and Trammell, the past 10 years have been rough. They lost both of their parents and 2 siblings, but Trammell's release was a chance at a second life, the turning of a new leaf. He talked about proving to me a better side of him than what I know, and that was taken away from me, and I need answers. I really do. The Department of Corrections say this all started as an altercation on a sidewalk between inmates that were a part of gangs. Within 2 hours, though, they say they had this under control. But Trammell's family now obviously planning a funeral instead of a reunion. We're now live here downtown. I'm Candace McCown.
Hey, man.
Do you know how much can go down in 2 hours? when everybody's running around with machetes and shanks.
Man, it's a lot of blood.
It is. I'm sure it was a horrible sight to see for everybody that seen it. You know?
Man, I couldn't
And I'm sure
imagine
it was
a family is waiting on the loved one to come home after he had served all this time and got down to days away from his release date. Oh man. Oh man. Mm.
and what makes it even worse is, like I say, when it was preventable. When something should have been done years ago, when it shouldn't have been like that to start with, because it ain't like nobody said anything. Even if nobody else said anything, I said something. I was
Right.
more like I say, it wasn't like I was just like some random dude saying nothing. Like, but even me, even I couldn't say nothing. They offering me all these positions. They want me to come up to headquarters and all that. Yeah, they like me. Ooh, but you speak against what they're doing that's causing all this, and try to say it's time for a solution. And I look, even when I said that to them, I didn't put that in the letter. That was in some of the communication that we had afterwards. I told them because they was like, well, you can go back in the prisons, if that's what you want. They was just trying to like mock me and stuff with saying,
Yeah.
I was like, look, I'm down. We're going back into prisons. Like I don't mind being a part of helping with getting something done. I'm just saying that I'm done with sitting here watching this thing that needs something done and it not be done.
Right.
Like either we're gonna do something and I'll be a part of that, but I mean I can't do it by myself. Like I told them, they need to get people to call them in. Whether that be, I don't know what it needs to be. Former officers, former law enforcement, former military, National Guard, the military. I mean, there's a bunch of options, but we need men to come and to secure the prisons, and that's just that.
Simple as that.
And you can't have that by hiring 1 or 2 at a time, because like I say, when you got it run down to the point that we got things like this going on, and we can't even keep people even somewhat safe, then you're looking at a whole different situation. You're looking at something needs to done on a wide scale, like systemically. Like at this point, like I'm almost at the point of saying abolish the GDC. They have tainted their name. They don't even need to be called that anymore. They don't even need to be an agency. That thing needs to be redone. I'm talking about big time. And some of these people that refuse to act, whether they refusing to act for whatever reason, they refusing to act nonetheless. So somebody needs to be up in there that will act.
Right. I'm gonna hit one more. If the Bloods versus GD conflict continues unchecked, what's the long-term impact on staff retention?
Horrible. Staff retention probably about if blood. Look, remember I was telling you when you was asking about the gangs, I was telling you that the Bloods and the GDs are the biggest numbers.
Oh yeah, I
It
do remember that.
Look, man, if the Bloods and GDs really pop off like that, it's
It,
about to be bad. If it's popping off like that right now between the Bloods and GDs, look, man, at every one of these major camps, there are hundreds of Bloods and GDs.
Dang.
So, you know,
Could the feds
pray,
take over?
pray to, you know, that they squash the issue. They need to go and run. They need to secure some ones or something like that, and shoot them out, or they need to do something besides popping it off like that, because that's gonna be bad. That ain't gonna do nothing, but it's gonna lead to death. You know, and yeah, the officers are gonna leave. If blood, like I say, what's gonna happen to these few females that are there when they see. You know, I'm not even gonna start saying numbers because I don't want to speak none of that into
Yeah, you're right,
existence. I
right,
hope
right, right,
nobody,
right, right.
I hope nobody else passes away. You know, but something
But
needs
you
to be
are
done,
talking
and it's
about
just
two of the most powerful gangs in the Georgia Department of Corrections right now.
yeah. And I'm going to tell you, both of them, both Bloods and GDs, because I know this because I've been in there long. I know a bunch of Bloods and GDs. I've done, had interactions with them. I know how they operate. I was the gang coordinator at Telfair and at Valdosta. Like I studied the gangs and all that, a bunch of their literature. With the Bloods and GDs, with most gangs, it's like this, but with the Bloods and GDs especially, they all have knives.
Simple
Like
as that.
simple as that. That's their policy when they're in these prisons like Telfair and Hayes and Hancock and all that. Even if you don't got everybody toting Shane, guess what? In these dorm, it's a blood hide spot and it's a GD hide spot where they got, I'm talking about sometimes we'll find 20, 30 shanks in one spot. You know, and they got it ready for stuff like this because, like I say, the whole thing is militarized. It's set up like that. You know, and that's when somebody like me starts asking the question of like, wait a minute, are the strings getting pulled on this to set it up like that? Because like they pretty much set it up where it's like inevitable that these people kill each other.
Right.
You know, and you know that's not
Uh,
good.
Sack Chaser
But
said,
yeah, they all got knives.
could the
Could the
feds take
feds
over?
take over? I mean, they could. They could. They maybe they need to. You know, I'm kind of wary of the feds. You know, just because a lot of this stuff is a lot of these policies that came down are stuff that the feds is all down with. You know, like I don't know. The feds ain't done too much to make me trust them. You know, but
Right.
neither have the has the state government of Georgia. So I mean, I don't know. I would personally rather see something like a a force of former officers from Georgia and nearby states that wanted to volunteer. Like they could just that's another thing that the governor could do tomorrow. The governor could come on the television tomorrow and say, look, we have a serious problem in Georgia's prisons. They done been totally let go out of control. We're gonna pay a sign-on bonus for all physically capable men that have prior peace officer certifications that'll volunteer to come in here and they're gonna fix this thing and just do a mass recruitment program and have that man ain't telling how many people sign up, especially if they give them like a sign-on bonus and tell them like, you look, you're gonna be part of the solution. You know, here's the thing. Look, there's brave men all over the place that would do something like that,
Yeah.
especially if you know if they could feed their family while doing it. But it's gonna take something like that. Like I would rather see something like that than you know the feds come in because remember the Fed prisons are some bull crap too.
Right.
They ain't
Right.
quite as
Right. Right.
you
Right. Right.
know.
Right. Right. Right.
It's like man, you're in a you know people that care need to come. You know, look if the
Right.
feds care, then they'll answer questions honestly and they'll do things and be forthcoming in what they do. But if not, then they don't need to be there. And that should be like
Yeah, you think you don't
to
know what's
me.
going on. The feds get that. You sure enough won't know what's going on
Yeah,
at all.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say like, man, I kind of wouldn't even like to see that happen. But I mean, I'm open for it. Something has got to happen. Or that's you know, in 2024, that's what I was saying like something has got to we got to do
You
something.
would
We can't
think,
just let it
but
keep it being like this,
you would think.
you know.
Um,
But here we are. All these how many deaths have there been? I guarantee there's been over 50 murders inside the prison since I submitted that statement. I
man,
guarantee
it's
you there have.
2026, man. We are still in mid-January. We hadn't even hit mid-January, and we almost creeping up on double digits already.
Yeah. And if it's popping, but like I say, If it's popping off between Blood and GD right now, I mean, whoa.
They just popped
You
off at
know,
Hayes and Hancock, man.
and
It's,
like I say, both of those, I know for sure that both of those have got triple digits of both of those.
it's going
You know,
down. Okay, do you believe rehabilitation is even possible in a constant state of gang tension?
no, not like that. It has to be secure.
Yeah,
Is rehabilitation possible with people that's in gangs? I mean, yeah, obviously. I mean, obviously we have people going around that's gang affiliated that are not causing, they're not stabbing other people or doing anything like that. But when you have it like this, whereas they're all trying to defend themselves because they all got weapons and there's no security there, then I mean, it's gonna be really hard to rehabilitate. Pretty much the only way that I see some of these guys rehabilitate right now be in lockdown
yeah.
and just go in it. But then you might get killed and not get found for days by your roommate.
Hey,
So I
man,
mean,
this would be a
better
huge
make sure you.
deterrence to just stay out of jail, man. Because
Yes,
you can go
yeah,
for 5. You can do all your time. It could be days before your release,
days
man,
before you go.
and you can be unalive. That's the
Yeah,
reality of the situation.
yeah,
That's my. You know what? Here's the sad part. Whenever there's a gang war, my numbers go up on my pages, bro. I hate it.
and yeah, and
I
that's
hate because
bad.
that's not what I do it for, but that's what's going on. Yesterday I did a live. It's almost at 3,000 views, man. Um, it's a sad situation, man. It's a sad situation. Like, we creeping up on about 90 minutes, man, and I gotta help my daughter with her homework, man.
Okay.
Hopefully nobody is unalive between now and the next time that we talk, but uh shit, I don't see that happening. I don't see
Yeah.
that happening. I don't see that
I
happening,
mean,
man.
one has to look at things realistically, and like I say, until something serious like some things, something similar to something we've been discussing is done, then you know, it, I don't see how you can avoid it.
Right.
You know,
I agree with you, bro.
but hopefully it'll go as good as it possibly can, and hopefully this video will get 3,000 views by tomorrow. And
Hopefully
and
so,
and
man. But
and
if I could just get one view where somebody was gonna go in and get something done, I would be okay with that, bro. I would be
yeah,
okay with
me
that.
too. Yeah, me
I would be
too.
okay
And
with
I'll
that.
be sure to be sharing this video and all, around as much as I can.
I appreciate it, man. We'll talk off air, man. We'll get back to it, man. Hopefully we can talk about something else besides this right here, bro. But I don't see
Yes.
I
You
don't
know
see
what
it
I look
change.
forward to, man? I look forward to the conversation that we can have where we can say violence is down
Yeah, yeah,
400% in
yeah, yeah,
Georgia's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
prisons.
yeah, yeah. That'll be
That
dope.
that there hasn't been anyone to get murdered in 3 months inside the prisons.
That'll be
That's
dope.
if we're gonna talk about the prisons, that's what I can't wait to talk about.
That'll be
But it's
dope.
just unfortunately that's not the reality right
And
now.
let's put that
You know.
positive energy in the atmosphere, man. The next time I talk to
Yes.
you, man, we're gonna be able to say that, I'm surprised. They got it done, man. They getting it done, man. And they made a
Yes.
believer out of me. So, um, yeah, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you. And you have a good
Yep,
night.
do the same, bro. I'm out.
Was you about to say something?
No, 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 no.
I'm sorry if I was cutting you off
No,
there.
you
It was
good,
a
you
little
good, you
delay.
good, you good. You got something you want to leave with the people?
Y'all have a good night and share this. If anybody watching this knows anybody that would be interested in speaking with me or putting this message out there more, or even if they don't want to talk to me, doing something about this situation seriously, then please put them into contact with me. You
Yeah.
know,
Or
and
if you
and we'll
got
go from there.
solutions, if you got
Yeah.
solutions
So
that we ain't touched on,
yes.
man, come
Yeah.
on with them, man. Come on with the solution. Here's the goal. We are simply humans who think humans should be treated like humans. That's the agenda at the end of the day. We don't
Yes.
have all the answers. You have a ex-officer and an ex-offender. You can call it whatever. It's humans, just humans trying to help humans, bro, at the end of the day, man.
Yes.
So I appreciate you, man. I'm out.
I appreciate you too. Have a good
All right,
night.
all right, bro.